Hello and welcome back to Telecomando RC. We are continuing here. So now I'm going to be talking about just my electronics, what I think about them. And again, this is what I run for USGT. I also use this for VTA. Let's focus on USGT. Let's say you're new, not necessarily new to the hobby, but you're new to touring cars, and you are thinking of picking up a kit that you can build so that you can go into USGT or VTA. What should you get? Well, the most important thing, to be honest, is picking a chassis that you're going to enjoy. But as far as electronics, I've been really happy with mine. For battery, I'm actually running this battery pack. It's a TeamPowers 6,600 milliamp hour battery, 30C. So this is a 2S battery, and I like it. I've been running TeamPowers batteries for a while. This is one of the ones I'm running on my buggy, and I do like them. They have a good runtime. They don't heat up like other batteries do, and they're very consistent. Some batteries will eventually start kind of dropping off. These don't really drop off. They stay very consistent, and then once they're out of juice, I mean, your ESC will just shut everything off because of the low voltage cutoff. But that's really what you want. I mean, if you're a person that has the mentality that it's better to start noticing when your battery is dropping off, so you know when to pull the vehicle out of the track and put the battery on the charge, I guess. But to be honest, once you've been running touring cars for a while, you get a sense on how much runtime you can get out of a battery, because not everybody's going to get the same runtime, because one, it does depend on the electronics that you're running, but two, it's your driving style, right? How smooth you are with the throttle, brake, etc. But after you've been doing this for a while, you're going to start getting an idea on when to stop before that would even happen. So that's why I don't think that's really something to go by. Because you really, I mean, there's so many batteries out there, and I know there's so many guys out there that have been driving that you pull the car off the track and you think, okay, that's about right. And then you take the battery out, you plug it into your charger just to do a store charge, and then as soon as you hit start and it starts, probably 2 seconds later, it beeps that the store charge is finished. I mean, that happens to me quite often. So eventually you're going to start getting an idea once you've been running the same setup with the same type of pack. So again, TeamPowers makes very good batteries. For 4S, I actually run the Gens Ace Redline series. One of the things that I like too about these batteries, even the Redlines, they take 5mm bullets. I have used the regular Gens Ace. Those are 4mm bullets, but I went away from 4mm, so I just standardized everything 5mm. Makes it a lot easier. So that's one of the things I like about the batteries. Yes, I do have some Traxxas batteries as well, but I do not use them here. Those are mainly for my Traxxas vehicles. And really, they tend to be my lender batteries, I'll be honest. But that is mainly because I prefer hard packs. So invest in some hard pack batteries. I've destroyed 2 of the soft pack batteries in the past, just in a crash. Something flies out, battery hits something, and then next thing you know, I just lost a battery. But that's a different story. So batteries, very happy with them. ESC, I'm running a Hobbywing Justock ESC, and to be honest, this is more than enough. This is all you really need. This ESC is about $50-$55 maybe. You can buy a more expensive ESC. For example, in my buggy, I am running the Hobbywing XR10 G2 Pro Elite. And that one runs about $200. But that one I'm running in my buggy. But for VTA, which is running a 25.5 turn motor, or USGT, which runs a 21.5 turn motor, Justock is more than enough, and it's blinky mode all the time. You don't have to worry about going in there and changing stuff up. It's already set up for it, for stock racing, and it's pretty inexpensive. So again, you're just getting into this. You have a certain budget, and you want to see what you can get that will be good, that you can be competitive with, that won't break the bank. That's an ECA to go with. And to be honest, in order to be competitive, it's really the setup of the car that makes the biggest difference, I would say. Motor. I've been using Actinium V3 motors by TeamPowers for some time. So my 21.5, my 25.5 motor, I actually have a 13.5 in my EB410.2. I have another one that's going to go into a short course. I really do like these motors. They're very, very smooth. They don't really cog or anything. They're just super smooth motors. The ESC probably has something to do with that too, I'll be honest, but running a Actinium motor, so this is the TeamPowers motor, on a Justock Hobbywing, on my other Pro Elite Hobbywing, and also I've had McLaren ESCs. I actually have a new McLaren ESC just sitting in there. That's going to go in a short course with my other TeamPowers motor. But these motors are just smooth, and we'll see how many times I can repeat the word smooth in this video. So I do recommend these motors. Now these motors are going to be about $120 roughly. And one of the things that you'll notice is I actually soldered 3.5 millimeter connectors, so I can just swap between the 25.5 and the 21.5 when I'm doing USGT or if I do VTA. So that's why you see those connectors there. So that's something else that you can do, but I really like this. Servo TeamPowers. This is the very first TeamPowers servo I ever run, and it is great. Usually, if you know me, you know I like running Savok servos. Savok servos are very good servos. This one here I picked up, the response is, let's see, 0.06. So going from stop to stop, 0.06. Very quick, very reactive servo. And this is all metal, so it dissipates heat a lot. Some of the other servos, because they're plastic, you'll notice they'll actually be very, very warm. This one stays relatively cool. It's also brushless, so the motor inside of the servo is brushless. So I'm just really happy. And the system, to be honest, is very efficient. I get really long run times if I'm just out there practicing. Servo, I don't remember the price. Say it's another $100. I don't remember, to be honest. But this SRS 12 servo is a great investment. So again, it all depends on your budget. I do like my electronics. I think they were a great choice. So for those of you getting into it, consider these electronics, especially the ESC. You really don't need anything else. If you just pick up one of these ESCs for about $50, you can just take the servo out of your RTR. It's not going to be as fast or as responsive, and a lot of people are going to say, well, that's the wrong servo. You should get a completely different servo there. And they're right, but not when you're starting. When you're starting, the most important part isn't actually the electronics, it's the setup of the rest of the vehicle. So you can actually save some money just by reusing some of your old electronics. And to be honest, there's guys out there that have probably a 25.5 motor or 21.5 motor that's 10, 15 years old, that's just collecting dust. They will probably just give you the motor. Or if you have an RTR that came with that turn motor, I mean, just slap it in your car in the meanwhile, run the car, whatever you need to do to get into USGT or VTA economically, go ahead and do it. And the reason why is, if you go really crazy on electronics, let's just say you had spent $200, $250 on an ESC, and then you're not doing very well, that's going to be in the back burner, how much money you spent, right? So you're going to think, I spent this much money and I'm doing, this well. So a lot of money, not so well. It's going to seem like your investment wasn't really worth it. So invest on the platform first, the chassis, and then pick your electronics. But this Hobbywing Justock, great ESC to go with. And then motor servo, worry about it later. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could use your 2075 Traxxas servo off of your Slash Bandit Rustler. In the meantime, yes, it is slow, and if you don't run a servo saver because they are plastic gears, you're probably going to break it. If you have a TRX4 that has the 2075, I think it's X, I forget, it's the metal gear. That one's a little stronger, still a little slow, but just reuse your electronics for now. But if you are planning on getting some better electronics, consider TeamPowers servo, Actinium V3 motor, and the Hobbywing ESC with TeamPowers batteries. Again, Redline is very good if you decide to go with Gen's Ace batteries. Going back to the motor, other than it being really smooth, timing is very easy. It just has the 3 screws. Loosen them a little, turn the bell. It runs very, very cool. With 52 timing, you definitely need a fan. It's going to run hotter. This one's at about a 44. So if the temperature is about 75 degrees, 15, 17 degrees Celsius, 75, 76 Fahrenheit, you're probably going to need a little bit of air running through it, but not much. It still runs pretty cool. Now, if the temperatures go up, then definitely have a fan. If you're running it stock out of the box, 30 degree timing, you're not going to need a fan at, say, normal temperature. And by normal, I mean about 75, 76 degrees. If you live somewhere where it tends to be 110, 120, and that's normal for you, you're going to need a fan. But that's something to keep in mind. I mean, these motors are very, very cool. As you can see, I mean, the housing is vented. It's to make it lighter, but also helps dissipate heat. So other than that, those are my electronics there. I guess the only thing I didn't talk about is the transmitter. I am running a Futaba transmitter. It doesn't have to be Futaba. Futaba is just great. That's just what I had as a kid, so I'm using it now as an adult. But Spectrum makes some very good electronics, Airtronics. I think one of them bought the other. And there's a few other brands out there as well. But anyway, if you are planning on getting into the hobby, I mean, just get the chassis, worry about the electronics later, go in high end, but definitely start off with a Justock ESC, and then motors, once you plan on upgrading, consider TeamPowers Actinium V3 and also their servo. But to be honest, the most important thing is for you to just get on out there and start racing for fun. To have fun, you don't need to win. You just need to be competitive. And there's a difference between wanting to win all the time and being competitive. If you're competitive, you're out there and you're able to compete. You're giving somebody, you're giving people a run for their money. And sometimes the most competitive racing will actually be in the middle of the pack, competing for 4th and 5th, or maybe you're the last guy and you're competing not to be last and you're trying to be the penultimate guy, and you get this really good competitive racing between the last two. And sometimes that's more fun to watch than to watch the guy in first place who's lapped everybody already. So keep that in mind. Individuals that get really upset and throw a tantrum whenever they lose, they're not being competitive, they're being sore losers. But an individual that's on your tail and is making you just sweat and shaky because that person has a very good chance at beating you, now that person's being very competitive and giving you a run for your money. So that is more pleasurable. That's the fun part of competing. giving people a run for their money. So that being said, these are some of the electronic options. It's not the only options out there. Do some shopping. Like I said, TeamPowers compared to Sabox, this motor compared to Tekin or McLaren. There's some other motors out there too, Team Orion. But ESC, I think Hobbywing Justock is the way to go. Other than that, I hope this was helpful in helping you make your choice in electronics so that you can get into racing USGT or VTA. Thank you so much for watching Telecomando RC, and we'll see you on the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.